Before we start, can I say hi to the video?
Okay, so we're starting with number 25 on the first review.
Hi, YouTube.
Write the equation of the line. Okay, that sounds like a pretty easy question. What do we need to do first?
Get up slow.
Find the slope. And to find the slope,
Oh, see.
we do y minus y over x minus x. So my slope is 2. I'm on the first review sheet, problem number 25. We open the packet. Now, how do I proceed from here? I have my slope. Y minus, now pick a point, I'll use that one. Y minus 11 equals 2, x minus 3.
Yes.
Could I have used this one? Yes. The answer will be the same, it doesn't make any difference. So y minus 11 equals 2x minus 6.
Yes.
And I'll add 11,
Yes.
and there is the answer to the question. All right, next problem.
Hello.
What do I do here? Logan?
No, group.
Distribute.
Yeah, that's all.
So here we go. 12 first, outside, inside, last. And then I have to remember that I squared is -1. So this is actually +2. So 12 and 2, 6i minus 4i. There is our simplified answer. 27 is a calculator problem. The ones with the little stars, that's what that means. Jace?
How is it positive 2i and not negative 2i?
Those are negative.
6 minus 4.
Oh, my bad.
I square took the.
All right. Number 27. I bought something that was originally $32.50, but I had a 20% discount and a 7% tax. So what am I gonna multiply by? A 20% discount at 0.8 and 1.07, and then I just type it in on my calculator. These are exam questions, you guys. I got 2782. If I type that in right. Number 28. What is our strategy with this, Logan? What?
Whoa. It's good.
Can you use the quadratic formula?
Yeah.
Absolutely, but remember, this is an inequality. So I think you're safest factoring it. I'm not saying you can't do what you said, Logan, but we never did this kind of problem that way. I'm afraid it would be confusing.
Negative 7 plus 1.
So we factor it, -7 plus 1.
Put on a number line.
And anytime we factor, we're going to do a quick double check, because factoring wrong will mess everything up. Then draw a number line, because that's what we do with inequalities.
Open circle at 7
Two
and at
open
-1.
circles, one of them's at -1, one of them's at 7.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we
Pick a number.
pick a number.
0. Let's do 2.
We can absolutely pick 0. Doesn't matter, 0 is a good number. 0's in between here. So if I put in 0, I have -7
It won't
times
work.
1. Is -7 times 1
No.
bigger than 0?
No. No, so
No.
shade outsides.
So I shade, don't shade there, I shade out here.
comma,
infinity,
-1.
-1.
U to 7, comma,
Yep,
infinity.
there's your answer.
I'm-
There is your answer.
I need to realize it's nothing.
All right, now we have our handy dandy mixture problem. So what's our general setup here?
I made a reminder on this one before.
Yep, this will be a free response question, so you wanna write down some work. Amount times percent
All amount times percent equals
Plus amount times
equals
percent.
amount times percent.
equals amount times percent.
Did you watch your mouth?
So then we know that we can always put in our percentages, that's easy. We have 15% and 20%, and we're ending up with 16%. And then we have to fill in our amounts, and we always know one of those too. Which amount do we know? We know the middle one is 18. And since the question is almost always how much, we're used to putting an X there. We're adding X gallons and 18 gallons.
X plus 18.
So 18 plus X or X plus 18, whatever way you wanna write it, because we're adding these two together to get that one. So 0.15X plus 3.6, we're multiplying those together, equals, don't know, distribute here, so 0.16 times 18, 2.88. This is a distribute. And then, let's see, I'm gonna put all my X's together. Watch it. Use your calculator if you need to. What do you get when you subtract 0.16 minus 0.15? 0.01. 0.01. And then I'm gonna bring this over. And I get 0.72, so it looks like 72 gallons. 72 gallons. Here's my answer. All right.
Oh, this one is easy.
Then we've got our big exponent, so
X to the
3 and 4 are staying put. I'm gonna do the inside first, like I usually do.
You gotta go X
Now,
to
what
X
happens
bottom.
with the X's?
It's gonna be one, the negative
3
3
are coming down.
And then they're gonna add.
So they're gonna be X to the 8th in the bottom,
It's gonna be X to the 64.
You got Y to the 5th up top?
X to the
Y
16.
to the 5th on the top. Now,
and you got Z
before
to
we
the
go
3rd.
on, how did we get Y to the 5th on the top?
You
We have
move it up,
7
subtract.
over 2.
The bottom comes up and subtracts the top.
Now, what about the Z's?
Z to the
That's a
3rd
little tricky.
at the top. Z to the 3rd at the top.
We're gonna have 5 of them, 5 of them over 2 of them,
Yes, ma'am.
which means I'm gonna have 3 of them.
8 to the 16.
Now I'm gonna
X to the
square
16.
everything. So 9, Y to the 10th, Z to the 6th, 3 squared, and then I multiply my exponents. 16, X to the 16. And there's my answer. Okay, number 31, there is one property question on the exam, and it is a multiple choice question. So you're gonna have, something, and it's gonna say which property, and you're gonna pick the one it is. I put 4 on here just so we can cover more properties, but there's only one of these on the exam. So how much time you spend studying this is up to you. There's only one on the exam. Name the property. 3x plus 2y equals 2y plus 3x. That is commutative of addition. Commutative of addition. We flip-flop the order. B, you ought to get this one. B is distributive. C is additive identity, because we added 0 and got the same thing, additive identity. And then D is associative of addition, because we left the 4, 3, and 1 in the same order, but we moved the grouping. That's the associative property of addition. And then finally, number 32, we actually did a couple of these the other day. So let's go through this one. All right, so here we go. We have a box. And by the way, this is exactly the way your test looks. I use the same like page for it. All I did was change the numbers. You can see down there where I changed the number. So it's 11 by 15. All right. So write an expression for the volume of the box. In other words, what is the equation for this situation? Guys, we did this the other day. 11 minus 2x, 15 minus 2x, and x. This problem is a page of your exam. I told you the other day, I'm telling you again, it's worth a lot of points. This can make you or break you.
It's gonna make you.
What is the domain? The domain is always 0, comma 5.5. And Elizabeth,
it's
why
half of
is
the
it
smallest number.
5.5? Half the smaller dimension. Does that ever change? No. So if you don't get it right, guess what? You didn't prepare. It's always the same. Then we go to our calculator, because now we want to find, it says graph it in the viewing window. Okay. So what is our x min going to be? X min is 0. X max is 5.5. Y min is 0. And then Y max is the one you have to take a guess at. So you might start with 100, but what do we know? Sometimes we have to make that bigger. We just have to guess to get started. So window. And then I go to my equation and type in my new equation. Oops, 100 wasn't big enough, was it?
Let's try 5.
So I go back to window, I think I'm gonna go with 300, oh, that was great, 300 works, so would 500, it doesn't matter. So my viewing window, if I gotta write this down, my X max was, min, yeah, my X min was 0, my X max was 5.5, my Y min was 0, and my Y max that I ended up using was 300, but you could have picked a different number. Now, it's okay if you have a different number.
Is that gonna be like a wide spectrum or can you have like
Huh? I can't hear you.
Is that gonna be like a wide area choice, or is it gonna be like a specific number?
No, as long as you can see the top of the hill, I'm good. This varies, this can be many things. Okay, so now I gotta graph it. So what it looks like on my calculator now is this. I need to find that point. So I'm going to second calc max, set my left bound, my right bound, and maximum is 2.091, 154.226. Question D says, to the nearest hundredth, find X. Well, to the nearest hundredth, 2.09 inches. All right, now we're moving on to the second review. So we're gonna find all the asymptotes of this question. And you will notice that as I wrote the question down, I factored the denominator. And I factored the denominator because my vertical asymptotes come from the denominator. So this problem has two vertical asymptotes. X equals -5, X equals -1. Okay? What about horizontal asymptotes? How do we find the horizontal asymptote, Logan?
Put it back to the normal spot and then do it vertically.
So I box in. So I gotta look at my original problem, which is this. Can I box those?
No.
No, because they don't match. So I have to fill in with a 0 whatever is missing. And since I'm an expert on top, I'll put a 0 up there, then I can box them in. So my horizontal asymptote is 0.
Do you have to do all that work if you know it's 0?
No, it's a multiple choice question.
Oh.
So you're just gonna,
Are most of them?
most of them no calculator.
Okay, but-
All right, find the remainder. We did one of these the other day on the mini review. How do we find the remainder?
The division thing, PR.
Out, no.
Wrong division.
Synthetic division.
We do synthetic division. Out in the box, we put a 2. And then this is one that I warned you about the other day. You've got to pay attention to any powers that are missing. And since we have no x to the 4th, we have to put a 0 in. That will impact your answer, so make sure you're paying attention to those powers. All right, so here we go. Drop down to 2, and here we go. 2 times 2.
4, and then 8, whatever that is. 10.
I got 47. Anybody doing it also? I got 47.
I got that too.
Remember, we multiply and then add. Multiply and add. And we just keep going until we're done. And the very last number is the remainder. All right, number 3. Find y-intercept. How do we find a y-intercept?
X is out here.
Let x equal 0. Hey, guys, no more. Keep your mouth shut, okay? And you only need this to be a decent video for the other kids who want to learn, all right? And I don't want all that noise. Stop. All right, we find the y-intercept by letting x be 0. So we have 80 over 1 plus 4 times 0.37 to the 0th. What is anything to the 0th?
1.
1? So this becomes 80 over 1 plus 4. So 80 over 5 is 16. Your y-intercept is 16.
Hold on, wait a minute. I thought you multiply.
Let's take a step back.
Well, I thought you multiply first because it was the first.
Yeah, how'd you get 1 for X?
cause, because put it in the, because.
0.37 to the zeros is 1.
How'd you get zero?
You plug
To
in
find a
zero.
y-intercept, you let x be 0.
So do you not multiply 4 times 0.37?
No, you don't.
You do exponents first.
You made it clear. So
Easy.
And 4 times 1 is?
oh,
4.
that made what's inside the parentheses.
Logan?
Is it okay to like think when like there's the x and the x right there, just to eliminate when it's over?
Okay, Logan, I need you to speak louder and enunciate. I can't understand the words you're saying.
Is it okay if like when the x is over something, are you allowed to just like think like just eliminate it from the problem? Really?
Hey, it's a multiple choice question. Do whatever you want. To find the y-intercept, you let x be 0. And then figure it out from there. If you have little things that you want to do, that's okay. But the way to find an x-intercept is to let x be 0. Okay? All right, B. We're gonna put in zeros
X minus 1, X plus 1.
and figure it out. So -1 squared is 1 times 3. My y-intercept is 3. Number 4.
Wait a minute.
There are a couple of ways that you can do the problem, but no matter how you do it, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is add that 3 to the other side. So we're gonna start by moving the 3 over. So we'll have 2x minus 4, absolute value, 2x minus 4
2x plus 4.
equals 9.
Yes.
Okay? Now, how would you, you're gonna be doing this in a couple days, how would you do this? What would you do?
You wanna give it a shot?
Yep.
Positive and negative.
Don't you do 2x plus 4 as well?
No.
No?
You do 2x minus 4 equals 9, and 2x minus 4 equals negative 9.
Oh, so later go to the answer.
And then we solve each little equation,
Well, x equals 13 over
and
2.
those two answers are the answers to the problem. So you're going to get 2 answers to the problem. And that's it. Okay. Now, how do we solve this? Well, again, you've got options, but it's probably easiest.
So ISO the X.
Well, that's what we're doing. We're gonna get x by itself. So we just subtract 1, but we have to do it all the way across because the problem has 3 pieces. So I have to do it all the way across. So -5 less than 2x less than or equal to 14. And then do the same thing, only divide by 2. And now x is by itself. And we have -5 halves less than x less than or equal to 7. Now this is a multiple choice question, so the answer might be written that way, but it might also be written like this. That is the same thing, right? Just written as an interval. So the thing about multiple choice is, sometimes the way the answer is written isn't exactly the way you have done the problem.
This is multiple choice, you still get, points for your work, or is it
No.
just the choice
Nope,
though?
it's right or wrong. Now, I encourage you to show your work because there are some, like, mistakes I think are common and might happen, that I might flip back and look at that and give you half credit for that. So you are gonna show your work,
Yeah,
but you can also just randomly guess.
right.
There's no penalty for not showing your work, let me say that. X squared minus 3x minus 5. Corrections say
Factor.
solve.
Factor.
Just factor that.
I would love to factor this, but it doesn't. So if it doesn't factor,
Quadratic formula.
I'm going to use the quadratic formula. Oh, And A is 1, B is -3, C is -5. And here we go. X equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times A times C. All over 2A. Now you will have a baby calculator to help you with this if you need it. Underneath here, we're going to have 9 plus 20, so we're at 29. That does not break down,
So that's your, what?
so that's your answer.
Yo.
That's it. If this had been a number like 28, then we would have to break it down, remember? So it would be 2 root 7, but it was a 29, so that's it. Over to you. Yeah. Number 7. Yes.
Can you write down that, or tell me that equation real quick so I can write it down?
X equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, find the domain. How do we, when we have a domain question, what do we think? We have 2 things. Whatever's under the radical has to be bigger than or equal to 0, and my denominator cannot be 0. Those are my 2 domain things. So, this one doesn't have a radical, but it does have a denominator. So x plus 7 can't be 0, which means x can't be -7. Now again, that is fine, but it might also be written like this. Because that is everything from -infinity to +infinity except -7. So that might be written that way on the exam. You have to recognize that.
Ocho is a little confused.
This board.
Okay, we're gonna get through this and then you can come to office hours.
Miss Ford, I'm not confused, I'm good. That's,
You were just asking us for help.
It's okay.
Miss Ford,
He has office hours the next 2 mornings and afternoons. He can come into that.
I'll be fine, Miss Ford, trust.
You need to speak with the video back up.
All right, but remember, the purpose of review is not to teach anything. It's the purpose of review to go over everything. Now you know what you need to go study. All right, number 8. I've got this function. And I gotta evaluate that. So what do? We did one of these in the mini review. Plug it in for X. So remember, you're plugging it in for X.
All of the X's.
So 2x minus 2 squared plus 7x minus 2 plus 1. So we plugged it in for all of the x's. And then you gotta multiply it out. So remember your order of operations. You're going to start by foiling out x minus 2 times x minus 2. That's a FOIL. And that's how you're going to start. So, x minus 2 times x minus 2, first outside inside last, is going to give you x squared minus 4x plus 4. Then what? I FOIL.
7X.
Now I'm going to distribute. And collect my terms. Think I added right. that far, you are actually done. Don't try to do anything else. Don't take any more steps. That is as far as we go. Alright? Interestingly enough, the next question is almost exactly the same thing. What does this mean? Elizabeth?
Plug the G of X into the X's and F.
So
Oh my
we're gonna
gosh.
plug the G
This is my
function, and the G function is x plus 5. So we are really looking for this, f of x plus 5. Well, we just did that. What does that mean? Plug x plus 5
That's all there is.
into all the x's in f. So that will be x plus 5 squared minus 2x plus 5 plus 3. This means take whatever g is, and in this case it's x plus 5, and plug it in for all of the x's in f. So instead of x squared, it's x plus 5 squared, minus 2x plus 5 plus 3. And then do exactly what you did over here. So it's gonna be a FOIL. So x squared plus 10x plus 25. When I FOIL, first outside, inside, last. Minus 2x minus 10 plus 3.
And it's just multiplications.
Then if we add right, it looks like maybe x squared plus 8x plus 18. So those two problems are worded differently, but they are basically the same.
Just for what time do we get out?
30.
Dude, just pay attention, not worry about when we get out.
Okay,
35?
30.
30?
30.
number 10. You're gonna graph this. Well, the first thing, this is about a 2-second problem if you remember a couple of things. First of all, what shape is it? Parabola.
Parabola.
Since it's got a negative in front, it's a parabola
Upside
opening upside down. This parabola has been moved
Downward. Up,
2
right, right.
units, 2 units to the
Right, left,
left,
left is opposite of the
Left.
and
then
down
down
one.
one. Oh, hot,
So
I'm hot.
2 units to the left and down 1 and opens down.
I take over right now, call them.
There is your picture.
I just got mixed up, sorry.
So again, easy if you remember your basic rules. If it's inside the parentheses, it's opposite. And then, we did one of these already the other day. How do we find a vertex?
Negative B or
Negative b over 2a. So for this problem, that will be negative 6 over 6. So x is negative 1.
Negative 1.
And then how do we find our y?
Plug in.
Plug it in. So 3 times 1 plus 6 times negative 1 minus 1.
Are we gonna say that formula on the test? No.
Why'd you do negative? I mean, positive.
Negative 1 squared.
Oh, Rich, you asked me this one earlier.
Oh, okay.
So negative 4. I think our vertex is negative 1, negative 4. All right, number 12. It's kind of like this one, but you're writing the equation. So you have a squared equation, and you're going to move it left 2. So if you want to move this equation left 2,
X minus x plus
x
parentheses.
plus 2.
Same.
That moves you left, right? X plus 2. And then we have a vertical stretch.
Plus 3 on the outside.
No,
Minus 3.
times 3. A vertical stretch is a multiplier, a coefficient.
Minus
of
one.
the correct,
Minus 1.
And then down 1 would be minus 1 on your end.
What's a vertical stretch look like?
Makes it skinnier.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now we have this picture. All right, and we want to know on what intervals is it decreasing?
-1, -1.
Now, what does decreasing mean?
Go down.
Going down. So I am looking at this part of the picture and this part of the picture. Would everyone agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
The answer to the question is, I'm moving this one, going from here to here, so I'm moving sideways from -3 to -1. I'm looking at my x's. From -3 to -1, my pencil is going down, right? And then it is also going down
1 to 4.
from 1 to 4. Those are the intervals that I am decreasing. Notice these are x values. These are the x's. You're going down from this point to this point, so x to x, and then x to x. Those are your answers. If we'd been increasing, then we would be looking at just this piece, and it would be -1 to 1, if I wanted to know where I was increasing. Number 14, find the x-intercepts of this curve. So, think back to when you had to graph these things. The very first thing you did when you had to graph one of these polynomials was you put some dots on the x-axis. Where are you putting the dots in problem 14? -1 and +3. Those dots are the x-intercepts. They're on the x-axis. They are x-intercepts. So where are the x-intercepts? -1 and 3. There's no work there, kids. It's -1 and 3. At what point does the curve bounce on the x-axis? Well, where is it going to bounce in this problem? At -1. Why is it going to bounce at -1? Because that one is squared. And that's what happens when you have a squared factor. It bounces. All right, we did one of these the other day. How do you find an inverse? Who remembers the steps
Flip upside down.
to finding the inverse? Switch your variables, as you are gonna have to study on your own, guys. Switch the variables and now get y by itself.
Divide by -2. Okay, everybody, group study session at Ridley's house.
And there's your inverse. Switch your variables and get y by itself. Alright, a couple more, here we go, number 16. The vocabulary is a little unusual.
Log E.
Make a note. Loop de loop. This question is simply asking you to rewrite this in an exponent form instead of a logarithmic form. So remembering that this is this, e to the x equals 16, and done. That's your answer. You're not solving it, you are simply rewriting it with an exponent instead of a logarithm. That form is logarithmic, this form is exponential. Number 17, ln, 1 parentheses. What's gonna go inside that parentheses, Logan?
8 times x squared over y.
What does everybody think? Is he correct? Very, very good.
Wait, so what's with that subtracting at the end? It makes it divide. I know, but. Oh, okay, 8 times 2, okay. I see, you just put them 2 in together, okay. I'm catching you up good, Oh.
All right, one more, number 18. What is the first thing we're gonna do? You have to sketch this. What is the first thing you're gonna do? You're gonna factor. So if you take out an x, we have x squared minus 9, which we know is x plus 3, x minus 3. Now we put some dots on our x-axis. We have 1 at -3, we have 1 at +3, and we have 1 at 0 because that's where we put plain x's. It's a cube. Cubes start down here
Oh, wait.
and end up here.
They do the little curve.
Is there any bouncing going on in this
No,
problem?
because it's no squares.
So we just connect our dots.
This field
That
goes.
All
is
field. That's field.
When does it start up again?
all right.
This for your office hours is gonna.
Bye-bye, YouTube.
Well, you need to do some work on your own. And have any questions?
Office hours party at Mr. Ford's house tonight.